Hey, business owners, great to have you join us. Welcome to this Futurise Your Business interview series. With me today is Adam Beavis. Adam is the Managing Director for AWS or Amazon Web Services in Australia and New Zealand. It is fabulous for us to have Adam with us today, and I'll be asking Adam all things machine learning, algorithms, innovation when it comes to small and medium businesses, Amazon's leadership principles, and all these things that have made Amazon the great company it is today. Guys, before we start, please click on the subscribe below. We have a lot of fabulous interviews and videos that we publish each week. And don't forget to press the like button and leave us a comment at the end of this interview. Adam, big welcome to you today.
Thanks, Dinesh. Absolute pleasure to be here. And again, thank you for the opportunity to spend some time with you this morning. I'm very excited, actually.
Adam, we are excited to have you. And look, one of the first questions I have for you is, as the Managing Director for AWS in Australia and New Zealand, how do you see small and medium businesses coming out of this pandemic?
I think the first thing is that we look at, and more than ever, technology is going to be so important for SMEs to really, recover and get back on their feet and pivot to new business models. And I look at probably the big four areas that we've seen the way we've been working with them. One is, how do they drive new business models? If they've been disrupted during COVID, how do they start to think about building new business models? And I look at an example where Hungry, a great startup organisation that had software that was designed to be used in restaurants, quickly pivoted their business model to help restaurants deliver food to home, to ensure that those restaurants could keep active, keep employing people, and keep the supply chain of produce from Australian SMEs moving as well. So I look at that business model pivot is probably a very, very important one. The other one is the importance now for people to get used to the new normal and how they'll adjust to work from home. So how they'll gear up to use things like this. I mean, it would have been great to be doing this in face-to-face, but we all know that this has become the new normal, the way we communicate. And I think that will continue, eventually, hopefully things get back to normal, but this will be with us forever. So how do the SMEs adapt to then working with their customers to do things through, digital technologies and how they leverage that as well? So they're two of the big ones that we see very, very important for SMEs, how they start to come out the other side. But, change and situations like COVID really help to drive innovation. And that's the bit that we've seen that's been really positive from the SME community and startups, since the start of the pandemic in March.
Thank you so much, Adam. Absolutely, technology is going to play a vital role, and ability to change to this new norm is so vital, isn't it? And as you mentioned, there's so much innovation that is spurred because of necessity, and that example you used is a really good one. Adam, AWS is seen as a global leader in cloud computing, and you have powered so many businesses through the innovations AWS has created. What possibilities would SMEs have to use some of your services, and what are those services people can latch onto?
Yeah, certainly. So you're right. We've had this incredible opportunity to work with some of the world's most amazing companies. I look at the Airbnbs and the Netflix that once upon a time were small SME companies with big dreams, and us being able to work side by side with them for them to go on and redefine their industries, even closer to home organisations like Atlassian and Canva that were once SMEs as well, that we've been able to work with to drive them into global organisations, being absolutely incredible. But the things that we look at, if I was to break it down into what the AWS platform does for SMEs, enterprises alike, it really helps them reduce cost and control cost of their IT expenditure. But what's more important, it provides them a platform to innovate and become more agile. And what I mean by that, the 175 services on the platform range from compute and storage and IoT and artificial intelligence and machine learning and data and analytics. And it provides an opportunity for whether you're an SME or a very large enterprise to very quickly use that technology to drive innovation in your business. And probably the three areas where we work with SMEs the most is definitely on migration. So how they migrate their legacy tech assets up to the cloud to save costs. If you're running your own data centers or facilities, it's expensive and can be very time consuming and painful. And as the owner of an SME with your team, you don't want them focusing on things that, don't really matter, like buying new infrastructure, fitting it into a data center. So you move that into the cloud where we take care of that, and you can just focus on the important part, which is innovation. The next area we see is definitely data. We know data is becoming very, very important. So how do we drive more insights out of data? How do we think about changing that customer experience using data, whether you're a cafe owner or a small retail organization or a warehouse owner? Being able to use technology to forecast your inventory, to forecast your rostering, to understand what you need, that the more accurate you are using data with these things, the more cost you can drive out of your business. And that's more important than ever. So on the platform, we have pre-built algorithms and great ISVs that sit on the platform as well that they can buy through a marketplace that can solve a lot of those problems for SMBs. And then finally, the one, I love this one the most actually, is really working with them on customer experience. How do you help an SME with the power of the platform to change the way they engage in their customer experience? And whether that's you're a small, it could be a small cafe that's taking orders and, people calling in to book tables. How can you automate that experience to make it more enjoyable for your customer without you having to always stop, put things down, pick up the phone, write it down? Like, how do we work with customers to automate that? And some great examples would be Village Roadshow, for example, how we changed the booking of their movie system to automate that when people call in to find what movies are on, working with a small SMB partner, actually Riley in Melbourne, to change that experience for Village. But they're a larger organisation, but that technology is available all the way down to the smallest one-man SME. So really migration and modernisation. How do they use data to drive better insights for their business to reduce costs and improve customer experience? And then, of course, working on the customer experience as well. So they're the three big areas where we love working with SMEs in that space. It's interesting, the importance of that industry, that segment, the SME, and we call it the mid-enterprise as well. We just saw that their needs were so, I wouldn't say different to an enterprise. They were similar but needed to be scaled down. So much so we actually built teams deliberately just to focus on those sectors and build solutions for those sectors as well. So it's great. We're very well aligned into it. As I said, it's a pretty passionate area for me, as you can tell.
Adam, thank you so much, because I know you mentioned how your family was in small business earlier, and you're very passionate about small business as a result of that, because you understand the challenges small businesses and medium-sized businesses go through. You used some very good examples there. You used Netflix. We all know Netflix is a really big company now, but as Netflix started, I know for a fact they had 2 servers and they didn't have the likes of an AWS to run their operations, their computing, their web services. And the first day they launched, it crashed because it couldn't manage the loads. So that would never happen because SMEs today and startups today have AWS. Now, you gave us the example of the Village Roadshow and you spoke about a few cafes. Are you able to give us a couple more examples or just a few examples of where small businesses and medium-sized businesses have worked with your teams and on some of your solutions?
Yeah, so I think a good example is Finder. So Finder is the #1 compare website that we have. And what they had initially, their technology wasn't able to scale, and they had incredible aspirations to move, into the UK market and the US market. So we worked with them to really redesign their infrastructure that allowed them to scale when they broke into new markets. And one of the great things is that across the world, the AWS regions, they're all built and designed the same with the same secure infrastructure. So what it means is from a very small starting point in Australia, Finder, by working with them and changing the way they built their applications, they were very easily able to move into those markets. If you go back even, many or a few years ago, it was very difficult for organizations to do that. But now it allows customers, as I said, like similar to Canva, where they can think on a grand global scale and then very quickly move into those markets as well. So there's some examples of ones that have gone global. Other great examples examples I love to think about. NIB is a bigger organization, but if you think about how you can scale that down is, again, that customer engagement. How can you start to use technology like chatbots or voice through systems similar to Alexa, where your customers can engage with you and have that great customer experience? And building those solutions used to be so difficult many years ago, but on the AWS platform now, it's all almost pre-built, ready for you to go. You just modify it, make the changes that you need, and all of a sudden, even as a small 10-man organization, you're taking advantage of those solutions similar to what a very large global bank or very large mining company might be doing as well. And that's one of the great things, the power of the platform. SMEs can do this stuff now, which is great.
Thank you, Adam. Thanks for that. Today, SMEs don't have to think small, do they? The best example I think you gave was Canva. Canva was a small startup. Today it's global. It's got a multi-billion-dollar valuation. And it's an Aussie company. This is a great example, and it hasn't taken them years. And unlike Netflix, they were able to use AWS and your platforms to scale. Now, I want to touch on a couple of some of the buzzwords people use, and I want you to guide us through this and try and unpack them. The first one I want to ask is about machine learning. AI is the next frontier. People are saying that, but I want to specifically hear from you about machine learning and how you are helping businesses. And the other is about algorithms.
Absolutely. So machine learning, the way I love to talk to customers about machine learning, it's really about automation. How do you use technology to do things quicker within your organization, which can reduce cost? Or how can you use technology to, remove the heavy lifting or find new insights into data that you need? So some of the great examples, again, if you think about machine learning, it's actually, if you think about a small doctor's practice and the way they need to dictate things in and talk to dictaphones, how they can then start to transcribe that information out a lot quicker rather than having to handwrite it and then move on. In the context of a hospital, for example, like the time saving that takes, being able to use these algorithms and machine learning to do that. And then you have incredible examples like Domino's. So Domino's, I love it's a great case study that we've got working with a fantastic SME partner, actually Max Kelson, where they can start to use predictive ordering. So when you log on to understand the pizza that you're going to buy, they can use these algorithms to very quickly make sure that they know the type of pizza that you're going to buy, and it means that they can get it to you within the time frame as well. And then even things like the pizza checker, where as the pizza comes out, they can check that the pizza actually looks and has the quality that you would expect from a Domino's pizza as well. So there's some of the great examples that you talk about. But, in general, it's certainly a technology as an SME. It's really good to start thinking about the impact it can have on your organization. Again, if you can automate things and it allows you to reduce cost spending in one area, and then you can pivot that extra money into innovation as well, it's really becomes an important technology for all organizations. So if you're an SME, don't think that technology is something that's out of reach for you, because it's not. Again, to get going with these technologies, the barrier to entry is very, very, very low, which is fantastic.
Again, thank you so much, Adam. Some great examples there, and a really valuable lesson for all small and medium business owners, because you don't have to think small anymore. You can use these technologies to grow your business and to accelerate the growth within your business. All we have to do is to really build our knowledge and our capabilities. I know for a fact AWS will have lots of learnings about machine learning, and maybe you can share some of that and we can have it available to SMEs who are interested to learn more about machine learning. Adam, thank you so much for that. Despite one of the things I want to touch with you is, despite the pandemic, despite all the issues small and medium businesses have had with the pandemic, we have this great resilient spirit in Australia. And there are some amazing success stories. At netStripes, we have seen, during when gyms were closed, we have gym operators who've grown their business. They've taken their businesses digital. They've understood that people still need to keep fit. They need to keep fit for not just physical health, but for our mental health reasons. And they've taken and created classes so that people can do these fitness classes online. And as a result of that, one of these business owners told me they're going to double their revenue in this new financial year. That's a great story, right? We had an event caterer. All the events closed down. There were no corporate events. These guys were doing corporate events and weddings and big high-end events for clients. They had to pivot their business to a new line of business. And they built a new line of business, got new line of revenues, more customers with near zero marketing dollars. Okay, so there are such good examples. Similarly, I want to ask you, what other examples have you got similar, because these are the things that inspire business owners to continue going despite the issues.
Yeah, I think the things that I think about is, the way that they need to pivot. And I'll probably talk you through a mechanism that we use with quite a few businesses at this time. And it's really thinking about working backwards from what you could be. If your business has been disrupted at this time, how do you think, okay, if we need to pivot our business, what could that look like in the future? And in many cases, we've deployed this mechanism to think about, and it's called a PR FAQ, or a working backwards document. So if you're an organization today and you've been disrupted, what we do is we sit with the customer and we actually write a press release as if we're going to launch that new business in 6 months from now or 3 months from now. And we write it as if it was real. And, if I was to use Hungry Hungry as an example here, saying, today Hungry Hungry relaunched their business as an online ordering platform and pivoted away from being an in-restaurant. Why did we need to do that? And we talk about the problem that they were trying to solve. COVID's disrupted our business and our revenue stream, so we've now pivoted to this new revenue stream. We put a quote in there, a fictitious quote from the CEO of the organization, and then we talk about a customer quote as well that says, hey, Hungry Hungry has been fantastic to us. We thought we were going to have to close our restaurants down, but due to the change that they've done on their platform, we can now keep working and we can keep employing staff, and we're going to be okay. And you write that press release 3 months into the future or 6 months into the future. And what we've been able to do then with small businesses is work backwards from that and say, okay, you're going to have to pivot your business this way. What does that mean? Do you need to build a new mobile app to do that? Okay, this is how we're going to do it. And we work through that in the form of a frequently asked questions. What do we need to change this? Do we need to hire any new people? No. Do we need to involve any other partners? Yes, we need a partner to do this. And it's a fantastic mechanism for people to think about new revenue streams very, very quickly while being disrupted. So that I just thought I'd share with you as something, because the reason I talk about that, we do that within Amazon. So even if we're going to think of a new idea, even AWS, which is a very large organization now, it started from doing a very, very similar press release when we worked into the future of an idea and then worked backwards from what our customer would need if we were to release that service. So that's something that, we really love to work with customers on. So your viewers of this webinar, we would love to, if they're thinking about driving new thoughts or new ideas, but not sure how to bring them to life, we'd love to engage with them and do that and help them out. Just something that we do often with customers.
Adam, thank you so much. That was a brilliant example. And if there was one lesson all of us can take home, I think that is one very important principle, actually. And am I right to say that's one of the 15 innovation principles at Amazon that you guys practice? I'm not sure whether it's 10 or 15 principles.
14 leadership principles.
Yeah.
That's what we refer to as a mechanism. So we have many mechanisms within the business, and that's one that we refer to. The 14 leadership principles we talk about, I would say, in the form of almost like an operating system within the business. They start with customer obsession. We strive to be Earth's most customer-centric organisation, and it finishes with deliver results. And in between, we have these 12 other leadership principles that we work with to help speed up decision-making within the business. We help to innovate quicker. One of the things that often I'm talking to leaders of SME businesses about, what are some of the things that you recommend to help us move quicker? And innovation is a big one. Having a bias for action to experiment more. If someone working in your warehouse comes up with an idea, or someone on your restaurant floor comes up with an idea, how do you quickly put that into motion, experiment quickly on it? And if that's put into production, that becomes an innovation within your business. So we work in the boundaries of these leadership principles to move quickly, to innovate and move fast. One of the other things we talk about is this concept of two pizza teams. So within Amazon, a team should never be bigger than a team that two pizzas can feed. And ideally, that's 8 to 10 people. And again, the reason we think about teams in 8 to 10 people is about speed of decision making. They're autonomous team or not autonomous teams. They have the ability to make their own decisions. Usually within that team, there could be a marketing person, a developer, a business analyst, but a team that can very quickly make decisions and move quickly, because one of the things we're always talking to SMBs about is speed more than ever matters to business at the moment. An innovation that you might have, going back 20 or 30 years, an innovation that you might have might give you a lead in the market for a couple of years. And we saw that with things like, the radio, and then TV came in and that innovation took a while to adopt, and then the microwave. But now if you move into the world that we're in now, new innovations and the adoptions, how quickly they get picked up by consumers, your innovation, you might only have, at times weeks or days, or in some cases even hours to react to competition. So you need to really think about speed in business as being very, very important, and innovating very, very quickly.
Thank you so much. Some really valuable principles there. If there is, I say if there's one lesson, that's something we must remember. But I got to say, some of the principles you've just shared with us are so valuable. Your last lesson about speed. In the last couple of years alone, my team and I have worked with over 5,000 SMEs, at close hand. And I can tell you, if there's one thing in Australia we can improve is speed. Sometimes I find we are slow to act. We can act with speed. And that's something I really urge everybody to focus on. Amazon, on these principles, have built a business that is worth over $1 trillion. Everybody can say, but they are a big company. But I want to say that they were not a big company. They only started in 1996. It wasn't a long time ago. AWS only started, is that 2004, 2006? I don't know, Adam. I'll let Adam answer that. These principles have spurred, and using that PIFAQ, if AWS did that PIFAQ, then I bet they didn't even envision it to be such a big company then, and these principles are what have created them. Adam, thank you so much for your time here, but we can't let you go without you telling us something about yourself, and we need to know a bit about yourself. Share something about you, and because I know you are an employee of this big organization, but you're also the head of the ANZ organization for AWS, so there are a lot of responsibilities with that, but you're also a dad. You are also, I'm sure, you are a son of, and you have parents you have to look after. Tell us how you are managing all this.
It's been a little bit different, as you said. I've got a little girl that 8, and then Jack, my little boy, he's 4, and he certainly keeps me busy. But one of the upsides is, in my role, I traveled a lot, coming into March. So it's really been nice to be at home with them. I think one thing that's really struck home to me is probably how much I did miss while I was traveling over those years, being on the road. So I think that I've really, really enjoyed has been upside. I've loved the idea that kids have been interrupting us on Chime calls and Zoom calls. And I think that's been a great thing for people to see the insights, of people's families and things. So for me, that's meant a lot to be home. home. I'm originally from Melbourne. I've only been in Sydney for 3 years, and that's hard at the moment. Mum and dad and my sister, and mum's got Alzheimer's, so that's hurting us a little bit at the moment, not being able to go down and see them. But the other thing that's probably hurting a little bit as well is I'm a mad Brisbane Lions supporter, and of course Brisbane's having a great year, and I can't believe that there could be a Brisbane grand final at the Gabba and I won't be able to attend it. So I must say that one's hurting a little bit as well. But no, I really enjoy spending time with my family. So that's probably, as I said, been one of the upsides of the last 6 months.
Adam, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you. Our audience have, I'm sure we'll lap up some of the advice you have given and some of the principles that you have shared that are used by Amazon and your team as well. So thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. And just, we want to share with you more. We'll send through how, your viewers can get involved, how, one of the great things, we'll put a lot of training online around some of these principles and how to get going with cloud. And, we would love to share that with your viewers. And then again, any follow-up that you need, more than happy to help. We love what you're doing here. And, SMEs, as we say, the engine room of the Australian economy. So, we'd love to continue to help.
Fabulous, Adam. We're going to take you up on that. We'd love to have some of your team and yourself even on our webinars, and I'd love to interview you again and especially on some of the principles and the leadership principles you spoke of, because there's a lot to learn for organizations across Australia and New Zealand, of course. So thank you for that, and look forward to speaking to you very soon.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you. Thank you again.